Good morning. I am here to read another chapter of Stink to you. As you can see, I have some balloons in the background. It was my birthday a couple days ago, and so some of the other teachers from school brought me balloons, so that was super sweet of them. But I'm going to start the chapter, and it's chapter 2, Shrink, Shrank, Shrunk. When Stink woke up the next morning, his bed felt as big as a country. The ceiling was up there with the sky. It was a long way down to the floor. When he went to brush his teeth, even the sink seemed too tall. Yipe! I really am shrinking, said Stink, checking himself out in the mirror. Were his arms a little shorter? Was his head a little smaller? Stink got dressed. He put on up and down striped pants and an up and down striped shirt. What's with the stripes? Asked Judy. Makes me look taller, said Stink. If you say so, said Judy. What? If you really want to look taller, here's what you do. Judy handed him a fancy shampoo type bottle. Put this hair gel on your hair and leave it in for 10 minutes. Then you'll be able to comb your hair so it sticks straight up. Sticking up hair will make you look taller. That is true. Here's an illustration of the hair gel Judy is giving him. His hair looks like it's already standing up. Maybe he already did it. Stink put the goopy goop in his hair. He left it in his hair while he made his bed. He left it in his hair while he packed up his backpack. He left it in his hair all through breakfast. She said to leave it in for 10 minutes. That sounds like a little longer than 10 minutes. We could play baseball and you could be shortstop, Judy told him. So funny I forgot to laugh, said Stink. Judy pointed to Stink's hair. Hey, I think it's working. She said, really? Do you think people will notice? They'll notice, said Judy. Stink ran upstairs to look in the mirror. Hey, my hair, it's orange. Oh no. Don't worry, said Judy. It'll wash out in about a week. I look like a carrot, said Stink. Carrots are tall, said Judy, and she laughed all the way to the bus stop. Here's the illustration of Stink being, it looks like he's freaking out about his hair. We can't see that it's orange because it's in black and white, but we know because the page told us that his hair is orange. Stink's friend Elizabeth sat next to him in class. They were the shortest kids in class 2D, so they sat up front. Hi, Elizabeth, said Stink. I'm not Elizabeth anymore, she told Stink. From now on, call me Sophie of the Elves. Okay, I have a new name too. The Incredible Shrinking Stink. But Stink, you look taller today, said Elizabeth. It's just the hair, said Stink. I'm still short. Not to an elf. To an elf, you'd be a giant. To an elf, you'd be the Elf King. Thanks, Sophie of the Elves, said Stink. So they seem to be both upset about being short. Here's an illustration of them. The bell rang and Mrs. Dempster passed out spelling words. 3 of the new words were shrink, shrank, shrunk. At lunch, the dessert was strawberry shortcake. And in reading, Mrs. Dempster read everybody a book called The Shrinking of Treehorn. The book was all about a boy who plays games and reads cereal boxes and gets shorter and shorter. He keeps shrinking and shrinking. Then just when he becomes a normal size again, he turns green. Any comments? Mrs. Dempster asked when the story was over. There's a lot of things in this school day that are reminding Stink of being short and shrinking. Here's an illustration of Mrs. Dempster reading the book to the class. Stink raised his hand. Is that a true story? Mrs. D laughed. I'm afraid not, she said. It's fantasy, because someone can't really be shrinking and turn green. Fantasy's my favorite, said Sophie of the elves, especially hobbits and elves. Are you sure it's fantasy? Asked Stink. Because that kid is a lot like me. Because Stink could not make himself say shrinking. Because you both turned another color? Asked Webster. Because I like to read everything on the cereal box too, said Stink. Okay, said Mrs. Dempster. Let's see. Who's going to carry the milk from the cafeteria today? Stink was barely paying attention. He never got asked to carry the milk. How about Mr. James Moody? Asked Mrs. Dempster. Me? Asked Stink. He sat up taller. I get to carry the milk? Stink walked down the second grade hallway. It looked longer than usual and wider. He took the stairs down to the cafeteria. Were there always this many stairs? His legs felt shorter, like they shrank, shrunk. So Mrs. Dempster called him something different by a different name than what we had been calling him in the story. And so I didn't realize that she was talking to him. And I think it was supposed to kind of surprise us. Does anyone remember what that name was? She said, Mr. Okay, I gave you some time to think about it. The name was James Moody. So she said, Mr. James Moody. Stink got the milk crate. He carried the milk up the stairs, past the office, and past the teacher's room. Now his arms felt shorter. He needed a rest. He set the milk down outside the nurse's office. Hi, Stink, called Mrs. Bell. I see you have a new hairstyle. My sister turned it orange, said Stink. So, what brings you here today? Headache? Sore throat? There's a lot going around, you know. Is shrinking going around? Asked Stink, because I think I'm shrinking. Here is the illustration of Stink at the top of the stairs, and look at these really tall stairs all the way down. That's what it looks like to him. As in, getting shorter. You're shrinking? What makes you think so? My sister. I mean, she measures me every morning, and I'm always 3 feet 8 inches. But last night she measured me before I went to bed, and I'd shrunk. I was only 3 feet 7 3/4 inches. I'm a whole 1/4 inch shorter. Don't worry, honey, said Mrs. Bell. Everybody shrinks during the day. We're all a little shorter at night than we are in the morning. Seriously? Seriously. From gravity and all the walking around we do. The pads between our bones shrink during the day. At night, they soak up water and expand again. That is very interesting. So this is an illustration of Mrs. Bell, the nurse, telling Stink about how we shrink throughout the day. We all shrink? Asked Stink. That's what I'm saying. Everybody shrinks. Scientific, said Stink. And that's the end of that chapter. That is very interesting. I did not know we shrunk throughout the day. That is something that you kind of a science experiment that you can do on your own. Measure yourself in the morning and then measure yourself at night and see how much you shrink. Okay, I will see you next time. Have a great day.